American President Donald Trump's retaliatory tariffs on April 2 proved to be pleasantly anticlimactic, at least in the case of India. Neither the Indian government panicked nor the markets crashed. The official reaction was that the Trump announcement was a mixed bag and not a setback. The capital markets benchmark Sensex, though down, was almost flat for after opening uh, for several hours. Now, this the entire episode reminds me of a line, हाय मर जाएंगे हम तो लुट जाएंगे ऐसी बातें किया ना करो. This is from a very famous Urdu poem, आज जाने की जिद ना करो, beautifully sung by Farida Khanam. The line was the sum and substance of what Minister of Commerce and Industry Piyush Goyal recently told Export Promotion Councils or EPCs in his interaction with them. Not in these words, of course. His message was prosaic and correct. He said, reflecting on the reciprocal tariffs, the EPCs must come out of their protectionist mindset and he encouraged them to be bold and deal and be ready to deal with the world from a position of strength and self-confidence. Last month too, Goyal had exhorted corporate India to shed its protectionist mindset and focus instead on becoming globally competitive. It may be recalled that India and the US have decided to negotiate the first tranche of a bilateral trade agreement by fall, that is September, October of this year, calendar year. The proposed pact is quite comprehensive in scope, aimed at increasing bilateral trade, augmenting market access, decreasing tariff and non-tariff barriers, and boosting supply chain integration. Goyal said that the BTA with the US will be the mother of all deals. Trade talks with Washington are on, and there has been no sign of major disagreements between the two countries. And yet, political and intellectual elites are angry and anxious. Consequently, markets were also informant. So, the Congress party in India claimed that the Narendra Modi government's trade policy is disastrous. Congress Media Department Chairman Pawan Kheda was aghast at Modi ji's surrender, in his words. Most intellectuals who are still wedded to the postmodern Vogue doctrines are also incensed, not just because Trump is challenging and changing their rules, but also because India is not resisting the US president's threats and statements. Trump's America is just having its way too easy. This calls the left liberal establishment. 4 points need to be made here. First, just because Trump says something doesn't mean that it is incorrect. Former Chief Economic Advisor Arvind Subramanian said 2 months ago that India has been protectionist since about 2018. Other experts have also made similar observations. For too long, sections of our industry have enjoyed protection in the form of high import duties and non-tariff barriers, NTBs, like quality control orders or QCOs. The second point is that if India lowers its duties and reduces NTBs, it may help American firms which want to enter our market. But less protection will also, indeed more so, give a fillip to our economy. This will perforce make our companies become more competitive. They will become more inclined to adopt new technologies to gain a competitive edge. Besides, this will also mean more choices and lower prices for consumers. The third point is that less protection will also help MSMEs, that is micro, small and medium enterprises. While discussing protectionism, we should never lose sight of the interests involved. The economy is not a monolith. Quite apart from various sectors, there is an important categorization based on size. There are a small number of big companies controlled by tycoons, and there are a big number of small companies run by business persons you and I come across in everyday life. When someone says the economy should be protected, we must find out whose interests are they talking about. The steel industry may want higher tariffs, but the user industries in which MSMEs are preponderant oppose that. In other words, the interests of one sector or lobby should not be confused with the national interest. And the final point is that we should not get worked up because we are forced to tweak our economic policy due to external pressure. It is a well known fact that the tectonic shift in India's economic policy in 1991 was goaded by the International Monetary Fund and the World Bank. The ensuing liberalization was fiercely resisted by both the left and the right. Doomsday scenarios were presented by top intellectuals at that time. We were told that we would become a victim of neo-imperialism, multinational corporations would gobble up our companies, and so on. But what actually happened? India emerged stronger after the crisis. Instead of being swallowed by MNCs, many Indian companies themselves became MNCs. India is expected to become the third largest economy in the foreseeable future. Tens of crores of people have been lifted from abject poverty. Likewise, low tariffs have the potential to galvanize the economy. So instead of crying, "Haaye mar jayenge, hum to lut jayenge," the captains of industry should brace for the future and the change. Thank you.